We broke a barrier. First time we ever said ball gag on this show. I'm Arizona Family political editor Dennis Welch.
Dennis, fake news Welch. Try to tell the truth.
And this is the Politics Unplugged podcast.
Dennis, if you have a problem with substance abuse, I am more than willing to talk to you anytime you need.
And welcome back to another edition of the Politics Unplugged podcast. Today, I'm joined by Democratic State Representative Stacey Travers. Thank you very much for being here. And you are the one responsible for all this talk about legislative pay. You've introduced a bill. Tell us, what the hell does this bill do?
This bill raises the legislator pay of $24,000 into the 30s. That then rises with inflation. But
there's a catch.
There is a catch. We have lifetime term limits. If you vote for the pay raise, you vote for a lifetime term limits. So you do your 8 in the House and your 8 in the Senate, and then you're done forever.
Yeah.
So right now, the way that it currently stands is you go back and forth. So you can do your 8 years in the House, and then you go 8 years in the Senate, and then you go back to the 8 years in the House and 8 years in the Senate. And this kind of puts the kibosh on that.
So what's been the reception? I know it's got a lot of media attention. And I did a story on this week. And one of the first people I called was John Kavanaugh, because he's kind of the godfather of the king, if you will, of the work around the current term limit situation. He's been at the Capitol for like 20 years because he has moved between the House and the Senate so many times. So I'm interested in what the response has been from the public, from your colleagues down at the Capitol.
There's been a mix. We've had some people emailing in saying, you don't deserve a pay raise. Why should we give you a pay raise? Wages for other folks aren't rising. So why should yours rise as well? And to some degree, I agree with that. We have a very high dissatisfaction rating with constituents at both the state and the federal level. And right now we have a dysfunctional government in the state of Arizona. And so I can completely see the argument of, well, why should we? But I guess to that point is, if you want change, then we need to expand the talent pool. And right now it's very restrictive because it is such a such a wage that excludes a whole host of folks. So we find that the people that are in the legislature currently are either already receiving some kind of a retirement pay or some other kind of a benefit on top of their $24,000, or they're very young and can live on $24,000, or they have, spouses who can support such a low wage.
But I mean, some lawmakers have already found a way around this, and you don't want to give the mistaken impression it's just $24,000 because there's per diems down there,
and mileage.
Yeah, and mileage, and particularly those who live outside the county. We've seen them double, triple, quadruple their salaries. Certain people down there, so that's a thing too. Correct?
That is a thing, and that's something to recognize. But I think if you look overall at the number of folks that aren't receiving that benefit, I still think it's worth at least having the discussion. I mean, to be honest with you, the bill more than likely won't get heard. I'm in the minority party, and many of the minority legislation doesn't ever get heard.
But sometimes ideas are picked up by Republicans, and they write a nearly exact piece of legislation out there.
Right?
And I'm kind of wondering if that might happen. But I also know that asking for a pay raise isn't exactly a popular thing for a politician to do.
No, it's not. And I do take some concern with just wanting to raise the salary without any sort of guardrails on it. That's why, and you're in a conundrum in some way, aren't you? It's like, yes, I agree that right now we probably don't deserve an increase. But then again, if you want to change the government that you're in, then you have to allow the voters more choice. And there has been an argument that said, well, if you're unhappy with your legislator, then you can just vote them out.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I could go to my district, and as much of a presence as I have there, I could still go and ask people if they know who their legislators are, and more than likely they won't know who we are. The other thing is the district that I'm in has an exceptionally unusual turnout, but most other districts don't. If you're lucky, if you get 40%, 30%.
In what area again? You were like your area is parts of Chandler
Tempe,
and Tempe, yeah,
Ahwatukee, and just a tiny bit of the Gila River Indian community.
That is a very highly educated part of the valley, and yes, there's higher turnout there.
And they've worked very, very hard to get that turnout. And so it's not a judgment on any other district. It's just a political reality that, it's very much easier to just go with the name that you see on the ballot year after year after year, as opposed to actually having a larger, talent pool to choose from.
Yeah, and you kind of getting at even a bigger issue. You said like a lot of people don't know who their state lawmakers are, and it's been one of the things, covering state politics for a long time, covering politics for a long time is a little bit frustrating because the general public will know a lot of headlines that are coming out of Washington, the big crazy, especially now with the big crazy headlines with the administration and the fight between the current administration and Democrats and whatnot. But like, the state government's got a lot more impact on your life than most of what Congress does.
100%. I mean, when they say all politics is local, I think for the most part, it's because we do have the most impact. The federal government gives each state subsidies to help with their programs, but the programs get initially established by the state, right? So whether it's money for education, that doesn't all come from the federal government. There's a lot of state money, access, Medicaid. A lot of these programs, whether it's the tax cuts for businesses or, the STOs for schools, it all comes down at the state level. And so that is the big impact. And so if you're not happy with the way the situation is, then expanding this opportunity for more people to participate in their government, I think gives people a larger choice to actually be a part of it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, in getting back to the pay stuff, I was like, hold on, I need to get a ruling really quick from Colin. Am I allowed to express my opinion on what I really think about pay raise for lawmakers?
You go right ahead, yeah.
Okay, cool. So for a long time, I have felt that lawmakers, what we should be doing in this state is, tripling, quadrupling the pay of lawmakers. Started like $80,000-$85,000 a year. Also appropriate enough money so lawmakers can each have their own staffer, and do away with the charade that this is a citizen legislature, because this is anything but a citizen legislature. As you mentioned out, there's not a lot of people who can afford the time or financially to go down and serve down there. But I just don't think that's ever going to happen because what I've seen with term limits and what I've seen with the kind of people like, the lack of diversity of type of people that are down there, I just don't feel a lot of them understand the day-to-day lives and stuff people really have to deal with, and I think, increasing the pay, to your point, I think it does broaden the talent pool and broaden the diversity of number of type of people you get there. And I also think giving lawmakers a staffer to look out for them is important too, because you've been down there long enough. I mean, information is the coin of the realm. The top thing that lawmakers have to do down there is pass a budget every year, and every year, like 3 people know what's in the budget right before they shove it down in your face and say vote for it.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot to unpack with what you just said. I should have taken notes. You've got your notepad, and I'm trying to go with my little gray cells that are every year dying away.
Yeah.
I think 35 is reasonable. I, as a constituent, would I want my legislators to make 80? No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think they deserve it right now. We don't deserve it.
Okay.
Maybe someday we will. and I say that knowing that it is more than a part-time job, right?
Yeah,
We're supposed to be
because
here.
I just don't think it is a.
It's not.
The whole idea was a citizen legislature when they started. It's like, oh, the farmers will come in and miners come in from the hills, pass a few bills, and go on with their merry self. It's not it anymore, man.
No, it's not. Even after we sine die, the final gavel is hit, there are still, the phones don't stop ringing. Constituents don't stop having problems, and we still need to see to those. So emails need to get answered, and phone calls need to get answered, and there are lots of events that I want to be at as a representative of LD12 that's outside of my district. There's also lots of stuff within my district that's happening. For example, we're having a veterans stand down on the 13th. As a United States Army veteran, I make sure that I support the veterans not only in our district but in our state. And so if there's a stand down somewhere else that I can attend that's outside of my district, I'll go to that. So there is a lot of, it is really much a full-time job in one way or another.
So you don't like my idea of like, $80,000.
Someday if we deserve it, then yes.
What about the idea of having staff, like a real staff member?
So the way that it works in the House of Representatives, every majority legislator gets their own assistant.
You get assistants.
And
but they function a little bit more like what, secretaries, traditional secretary stuff, or these people that are like taking calls and setting up schedules. I'm talking about like policy, like chief of staff kind of person.
Okay, so each in our chamber, the majority and the minority have their own chief of staff, deputy chief of staff. And then they do have their own policy advisors. The way that it works in the minority party is you have one staffer who might have 2 or 3 different committees. So one person might staff the Commerce Committee as well as Way and Means, and then one might be doing federalism.
Oh, the minority's brutal down there. They stuff you down in the basement.
They stuff us down in the basement, no windows.
They treat you like the proverbial mushrooms, as they say.
They do, but we all know how mushrooms flourish.
Yeah.
in the manure. So I think we're doing okay. We have an amazing staff. Yes, they're incredibly
nothing against the staff.
Overworked, but yes, it would be nice to have more on staff. More research staff. So I take you. I take you to your point. Yes, it would be lovely to have more support so that we can really delve into more than one subject. We all have our own wheelhouses. So for every legislator, there's something that they do. For example, Representative Ligori and Representative Villegas do an amazing job in the housing space. I'm the sort of go-to with Representative Marquez on veterans issues. And so we all sort of have our knowledge base, which I think helps the policy staff help us. But yes, it would be nice to have more staff. But there is a lot of institutional knowledge there, and I guess to Senator Kavanaugh's point, I think that with the staff that are there and their longevity, we have that institutional knowledge that I don't know that we necessarily need from our legislators. And to be fair, I've been there, several years, and I love hearing the stories about what people did. But it's very different being a raconteur as opposed to actually, being able to say the only person I think, and if I don't know if I'm allowed to name another journalist. Howie Fisher is the one guy who you talk to who then will then go, well, in 1987, the Supreme Court versus blah, blah did something just like you. But I would never get that from a fellow legislator, no matter how long that they've been.
That's Howie being Howie.
That is Howie being Howie. He is an institution unto himself.
He is an institution, and I love how he assumes, like, well, Representative, what about the 1986 court ruling? And you're like, what about it, man?
Do you think your bill will pass if this didn't pass? I don't know. So far, I haven't had any feedback from the legal people that there's an issue there, but single subject.
But that is an issue when you start talking term limits. I mean, to what Kavanaugh also told me this past week is, again, you're familiar with the pushback on it. It's like every 2 years, any lawmaker down there can be recalled. and term limited.
But can we? I mean, there's a Herculean effort to get the number of signatures that you need for a recall.
I mean, not recall, but I'm saying term limited. Every 2 years you can be term limited. I'm sorry, it wasn't precise.
No, that's okay. My argument, again, is most of your electorate either doesn't know who you are or doesn't go out and vote.
Yeah.
And so, then what do? Then you end up with the same people every year. And has your life become better? I mean, right now we've had the same governance for many years, and that includes me. I'm going into an election for my third term, and we still have $1 billion ESA overrun. My district is closing 8 schools, and ironically, my district is always voted as one of the top 3 most fiscally conscientious and conservative school districts, and we're still having to close 8 schools. We've got affordability issues. My eggs, if I don't go to Costco, where they're $3.79 for 2 dozen, I'm still going to my local Safeway and Fry's and paying between, $6.99 and $10.99 a dozen. I have a small family of 4. What the heck am I going to do with 2 dozen eggs? I mean, my gas is still between $3.50 and $4 a gallon. And so if we want to see any kind of real change that impacts people's daily lives, then something needs to change. Yeah. Something needs to change.
Well, since you bring it up to schools and all this other stuff, let me ask you, and it's a bit of a political question.
Because we haven't been doing that this last 10 minutes.
I know. Well, more of a raw political question. I mean, what are your thoughts on your party leader, Governor Katie Hobbs, pushing for tax cuts? You talk about schools closing. You're talking about revenues being down, and you're talking about she's pushing for several parts of Donald Trump's tax cut package. When you cut that revenue, when schools are closing and other things. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean,
because you could be asked to vote on this.
Yeah, I mean, the things that she's doing are tax cuts for the middle class. They're tax cuts for the people that are being hurt the most. Mm-hmm. And why shouldn't we be doing that? We need to be smart about the tax cuts that we're instilling and enabling and who it's impacting. Mm-hmm. And the tax cuts that she has chosen to work with are the ones that help those things that I'm talking about, sure. The affordability on eggs and gas. And, we are where we are. And all of us, to kind of toot my party horn, are doing the best that we can given the political landscape that we're in.
Yeah, I mean, but, you may be forced to vote on the full passing and approving the full Trump tax package, which is $483 million, as opposed to what the governor wants is about around $210 million. Because again, Republicans have told me that's exactly what they're going to do when you guys start up here in a few weeks. Is they're probably going to run a bill to her as quickly as they can with most of Trump's tax package, maybe with some tweaks, and ask the governor to sign that. I mean, would you sign that full tax package, or would you vote for that full tax package if it goes up on the board?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, I would have to see the bill. I would have to see the
sure.
language and what it's going to look like in a state form as opposed to what it is at the federal form. Mm-hmm. I know that anything that will be done mm-hmm. will be done in the best interest of the working and the middle class, because they're the ones being hit the hardest. Sometimes you have to take a little bit of the bad for the good. And if it's going to overall help the people that we're trying to help, which again is the working class and the middle class, if there's something else attached to it, then I know that the governor will have done it. All of us as a party will have done it for a good reason. I mean, given the political landscape, we can't expect that it's my way or the highway. Mm-hmm. So in order to get, a few steps forward, maybe we have to take one step back. But she's doing a really great job given, the cards that she's been dealt with. And I know that at the bottom of everything that Governor Hobbs does, she cares about Arizona and she cares about the people that she governs.
All right. Well, let's wrap there. But before we go,
Yes, sir.
since you were saying nobody knows their lawmakers, let's talk a little bit about you real quick. Not too long. You have a really interesting backstory. You were in the military for a long time, and it sounds like you have lived in a lot of different places. Just briefly explain what you did in the military and where'd you go?
So I went right out of high school because I was a really crappy student. And
Yay, so was I.
let's hear it for C students. David Letterman did okay as a C student in Indiana.
Well, is it A students teach B students to work for C students?
Exactly. And I didn't have any money. My parents hadn't planned any college money. So I didn't know what else to do. I came from a military background. My dad was a helicopter pilot. And so at 17, delayed entry, I graduated. And then that August, I was at Fort Jackson in South Carolina and circumnavigated the world. And when I got out, I ended up at ASU as a Russian major. And then I had to take a science class. I took Rocks for Jocks and fell in love with geology. And so I transferred to U of A, Bear Down, and got my degree in geosciences.
ASU here, I can't support that.
I know, forks down. And then I moved to England for 11 years. I worked for the BBC as a radio producer and a desk driver. And I don't know why I'm pointing at Colin. And
why not? Let's point at Colin.
And then basically I had my children. And that, for me, it changed everything. It changed my whole reason for being.
I like the way you glossed over the military. Yeah, I was in the military and went all over the world. You were at Checkpoint Charlie.
Well, if I tell you anymore, I'd have to kill you, Dennis. And I quite like your show and your podcast. So
You wouldn't be the first one to do that to me.
But yeah, having children changes your political calculus. And I started actually becoming more aware politically of the world around me. And I was raging against the machine, how upset I was at, the government hypocrisy and how, I felt my children's rights were being taken away and felt like I was just full of everything. And somebody said, so are you thinking of running for office?
No.
And I had just started a master's in international security studies. And so I had this dialogue in my head that most women have, well, maybe I'll be more qualified if I, get this degree, this master's, and then I'll take a certificate in public policy and then I'll be more qualified. And with all due respect, I thought if I were a man, I don't think I'd have this internal angst. I just look at the Yahoo on TV and go, I can do that.
Well, it's funny you say that because you're thinking, if I get another degree and present myself as a little bit smarter. I always think of one of my favorite lines from any political type movie was All the President's Men.
Yeah.
With Hal Holbrook's character, where he tells Robert Redford playing Bob Woodward. It's like, forget about the myth that the media's created about these people. These people aren't very smart.
Yeah. So that was it. So the next thing I know, I filed my statement of interest.
There you go, yeah.
I was the little engine that could. I spent the least amount of money. I was a political outsider. I just knocked on doors and spoke my truth and won my election. And very, very honored to have been and very grateful to the residents of LD12 for trusting me. So,
I appreciate it. It's great having this conversation with you. Thanks for stopping by. You're invited back anytime you want.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Welcome to the second half of the Politics Unplugged podcast. As always, Colin Stanton, the great producer, joins us here. Colin, how the hell are you? How the hell was your week?
It was a long week, but a good week.
Yeah.
Productive.
Strange
a lot of
week.
stuff going on. It was a strange week.
Strange week.
Yeah.
I mean, it was busy, but there's some just weird stuff happening this week. I do want to talk. One of the stories I want to talk to you about. It's not often we get into local issues. It's kind of fun. Somebody got my start kind of as a city hall reporter. I love a good city hall story.
Yeah.
And down in Chandler found itself in the middle of this big data center controversy, where they were pitted against a former U.S. senator here said that it was threatening that the president of the United States could step in if they don't pass pass something that would allow a new AI data center. down in Chandler that was about $2.5 billion, built on 40 acres. Got a lot of attention. At the end of the day, though, the council on a 7-0 vote said no thanks.
Yeah, I don't know if they were necessarily anticipating the level of vitriol it would raise from their constituents.
And before we get into a lot of the details on that, I mean, if people listening right now, I just want to explain this to you. It's a 7-0 vote, but that vote was a lot closer than that would indicate.
Yeah.
Because what I heard leading up to that vote was there were a lot of council members who thought it was just a bunch of, quote, keyboard warriors sending a bunch of shitty emails.
Yeah.
And that turnout would really impact what would happen. And turnout, they did.
Yes.
And they impacted that because nobody on that council, because at the end of the day, they're politicians just like, any other elected official. They need votes to keep their jobs. They saw the public reaction to that, heard it face to face, and it made a big difference there.
Right. And if you're a citizen of the city of Chandler, what exactly are you getting out of this if it passes?
Yeah.
It's going to use up an ungodly amount of power, an ungodly amount of water.
And make more noise.
Yes, they're butt ugly in the middle of a city. It makes your city uglier and expensive. And what are you getting out of it?
Mm-hmm.
And when the big pitch is Kyrsten Sinema warning the city that Trump would be coming in, or extorting the city would be perhaps the other way to look at that, by telling him, well, I'm just going to have Trump come in here and stomp on you if you don't pass this.
Yeah, like the federal government to come in and preempt a local, a city on a local issue.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the kinds of issues that should be decided on the local level. You don't need the federal government coming in.
No. And I think they're going to see the tide turning on these things. I think this is part of it, but I don't think people are going to be welcoming of these things when they have any say in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it intriguing that they thought Kyrsten Sinema was the right person to be the lobbyist for this project.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because it seems like I think the data center would have passed.
Quite possibly.
Because I was reading, you look at the letters that were sent, I got a copy of the letters, and it seemed like early on there was support, but then you saw a huge increase of letters the closer we got to the vote, which is expected. But particularly after Kyrsten Sinema shows up at a P&Z, a Planning and Zoning Committee hearing, and makes that threat that, if you don't do this, basically get in line, the president's going to come in here and preempt you.
Yes.
Is what she said. And that got a lot of attention because this was kind of her debut as a lobbyist. It got a lot of attention. For me, politician turns lobbyist is like dog bites man. Like, who cares, whatever. But it got a lot of attention. And I don't think it got the kind of attention that the people who wanted this data center actually really wanted. I think it worked I think it worked the other way.
Yes, I think they would have been better off not getting any attention at all, and Sinema is going to draw attention to it. And so I think part of the groundswell of people coming out against it was as they learned about it because it got all the attention. And honestly, I think part of it is at this point, I think most people will assume that if Kyrsten Sinema is speaking out in favor of something, it's a bad thing and you should be opposed to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it didn't help.
No.
From what I saw, what I heard, what I were talking to, I think it brought a lot of negative attention and unwanted attention to this issue. Because, let's face it, the Price Road corridor down in Chandler is built for this kind of stuff.
Yes.
I mean, you're a stone's throw away from a dozen data centers down there.
Yes.
It's just, this one got some negative attention. There's a lot of controversy around data centers. They do, as you were pointing out, there are concerns about, sucking up more water. Although I have heard some, I've got some information, seen some reports that they are using less water than they used to.
I know that was Sinema's big argument when she appeared on Fox.
Yeah.
It's okay because they don't suck up as much water as they used to.
Yes. But then we saw some reporting leading up to this vote that, actually, it's going to suck up more water than they said it was going to do that. So it was a very local issue. to me, it was interesting. I mean, it was interesting watching. I mean, this is local governments and local democracy at work, man. You know, public became aware of this, became energized. They didn't want it. It came down to turnout and what that turnout was, what they were turning out for, and what they had to say. And I thought it was interesting that they saw what was going on. They voted 7-0 against it. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that were going on down there. You know, I spoke with a mayoral candidate who's a former council member. He was speaking out against this. One of the guys on the council, Councilman Orlando, I think, is also running for mayor there. There was some mayoral politics involved. It was a lot of fun kind of just seeing this whole thing. And you throw in the cinema element.
Yeah.
Man.
And in the end, this is how it's supposed to work. You know, people are supposed to make their feelings heard, and the council should, on some level, follow up with them and adjust their opinions accordingly and represent the people that they're there to represent.
So your thoughts on cinema, real quick? You mentioned Fox News. She was on Fox News.
On Fox News and talked about what a great thing, you know, these data centers are. It's the type of thing we need to do for our growing families to give them a better life.
Mm-hmm.
Which, what are you talking about? And then she also wrapped up the interview where
this was surprising. This was surprising.
Surprising. I don't know at this point.
Well,
the anchor said he was really sorry that's all the time they had, because next time they'll bring her back on so she can talk about MAHA, the whole Make America Healthy Again, because he knows how excited she is about all that. She said, "Oh, it's doing such great things for our country," which made me ask: is she now a lobbyist for whooping cough?
Measles.
What?
She anti-vax.
My God! Apparently, doing great things for our country. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Kyrsten Sinema, to me, wraps up everything people find absolutely loathsome about politicians.
Mm-hmm. But she ain't one anymore. She's a lobbyist.
Right. Now she's a lobbyist.
Yeah. And people love lobbyists.
Yes. And it just made me wonder, at what point did the grift start? Because she was very progressive in the legislature.
Well, before that, she was Ralph Nader's spokeswoman here in Arizona.
You know, known for the tutu and anti-war protests and fighting for a better minimum wage and all of that. So was that, did she believe any of that?
I think she would say that she evolved over the years, her thinking.
So she evolved from that to this, to I'm all in on this program of vaccines are terrible and bring back the measles, and you know, these data centers are wonderful, and if you don't think they're wonderful, Trump will come in and stomp you. And you know, it always goes back to the minimum wage no vote with the curtsy that her staff will probably call us this afternoon to angrily say wasn't a curtsy.
We don't work for her anymore, but you still can't call it a curtsy. Like, what do you call it?
It was a curtsy.
It was a fucking curtsy.
She did a cutesy little curtsy and a no vote on minimum wage. And I think shortly thereafter, wasn't that when she had like the fuck off ring?
Yeah.
And then got angry because people were reporting on what she's wearing. When she posted a photo to show off her ring that said fuck off.
Real quick, if I can digress real quick. One of the things I always found interesting is, like, you know, she would wear these really loud outfits.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, you know, like I distinctly remember one that's like very bright yellow.
Yes.
Where people were making Big Bird references.
Yes.
Stuff like that. And I always found it interesting. She'd wear that stuff, or a purple wig or whatever, and then her staff or her would just be offended that you would ask about this.
Right.
Like that it was sexist somehow.
Yeah.
And like when I think about it, if Mark Kelly showed up on the floor with a purple zoot suit and a hat and looked like, you know, looked like the guy in Mask or whatever. But I'd probably ask a question.
It's probably going to get mentioned.
I'd probably mention it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, maybe we'll call Kelly's staff and see if they can test our hypothesis. What do you think?
He'd look sharp in a suit.
It's like, hey guys, we just had this idea, blah blah blah. Probably that phone call would end with him saying, "Never call us again."
It's probably safe. Yeah, it's it was ridiculous. She was.
But hey, while we're at it, if Senator Kelly, if he's listening, which he may or may not be, or anybody on his staff or anybody connected with him, hey, let him know, man. Like, we think he should try that. Maybe show up with some, just loud, like
banana
purple.
yellow suit or purple suit. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, think about purple. You supporting the Suns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do it. We will cover it.
Yeah.
We will cover that. Promise.
Yeah. And then we can retroactively go, see?
Oh, man. Let's talk a little bit about Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
It's the story that just keeps on giving us a lot of stuff I just don't want to be looking at.
Batch of new photos released today.
Oh, yeah.
By the Democrats of the House Oversight Committee, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some interesting stuff.
19 new photographs.
Yeah. Let's
put it this way. I was looking at one of them, at one of the photographs, and then like our boss walks behind me, and I was like, "Ah!" And I don't know if she saw what I was looking at.
I'm not shopping.
I'm not
Christmas shopping.
I'm not shopping, and I'm not on
It's
any
a government website.
I'm not. I'm on a government website. Why are you judging?
Yeah,
because like there were
devices.
Devices, yes. It's a pod. We can. What was one of the devices? Can we say ball gag? Collar?
I guess we can say ball gag. Sure, there was a ball gag with a great focus in the photo of the disclaimer tag attached.
Yes. Somebody
warning of the dangers of putting a ball gag on someone.
Apparently, if somebody is using that, you are not to leave them unattended.
No.
According to the word.
Yeah.
And there was an interesting glove.
There was a glove. I'm not even going to go into the glove.
No,
there was a glove.
No.
And then a lot of photos of people.
Yep. Woody Allen.
Just featured in a number
really
of
repairing his.
Woody Allen standing around chatting with Steve Bannon.
and Epstein is like, man. Wow.
I love Woody Allen's early films.
I know.
I love his early films. Thankfully, he hasn't done anything I've wanted to see since any of this broke.
I know. I know, man.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Like you ain't never, even before this, you was probably never going to rehab your image. But man,
no, turn it up. And oddly, that's the name I hadn't heard that was popping up here, because Steve Bannon, I've heard he was with Epstein, and there he is. Yeah. Clinton is in photos. There's nothing off about it's not him with young people. It's just him there with Epstein, which certainly doesn't look good. No. I'm not saying that to defend him. I'm just saying it's not an incriminating photo outside of his presence standing next to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. There are Trump photos where the identities of the, I think, 7 young women around him have been covered up.
The faces are redacted.
There's
a Bill Clinton photo.
Yes.
Gotta.
Yeah. There are photos of the pile of Trump condoms where the wrapper has a picture of his face saying it's huge.
With 3 or 4 U's.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah, this is what I'm getting from official releases from Congress in 2025.
Yeah.
As we barrel into 2020. And the other thing that's important too, like none of these photos, and I'm interested about this, and you had a good comment when you first saw it too, because I was like, why release these without context? Because like there was no context given for these photos.
Right.
There was no like explainer underneath, like, oh, here's Jeffrey Epstein with with Woody Allen at a shooting of whatever movie or wherever they were. No explanation. Like some of the devices that were like, why are these included? I look, man, I'll admit it. I want to know why those devices were included in this photographic dump.
And I assume they just wanted to show you, like, there's some really sordid stuff in this collection of photos that also includes this picture of our current president with 7 young women and Jeffrey Epstein, and then photos with Woody Allen and Bill Clinton and Steve Bannon.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And there's something like 90,000 photographs that the committee had received from the Epstein estate.
Yeah. These were 19 of them.
There were 19 of them. Like, what else is in there? And again, I do want some explanation, because, like, if it's just like, you're putting stuff out just to be lewd and whatever, like, whatever, like, whatever, man. I thought the pictures, with more pictures with Epstein and Trump was interesting.
Yeah.
Because Trump keeps insisting that he barely knew the guy or whatever.
Yes. He barely knew the guy who referred to Trump as his best friend for a decade.
Yeah, whatever. And then, I think that the stuff with Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, obviously was part of was part of this dump, and others. And I think it's important to remember that these were very powerful people who hurt very young girls.
Yeah,
and a lot of them. And
yes.
Again, we have to always, in the context of remembering this story, isn't just there are real victims here.
Yeah.
But if there's no context around some of these photographs, I'm just left kind of wondering, like, okay, what's going on here?
There was nothing incriminating in the photos of Woody Allen, Steve Bannon, Bill Clinton,
Bill Gates,
Epstein, outside of their presence where they were. These aren't photos of them with young women. There is a Trump photo where he's with a group of women where their identities are all concealed, so it's hard to tell exactly what you're seeing there. But yeah, certainly no one wants to show up in any of these photos, even if they're not doing anything at the time that is unseemly. Yeah.
Need a palate cleanser. How about we talk about sports?
Sure. Which right now isn't much better.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, let's
Michigan.
talk about the University of Michigan. And apparently, you were talking about this with some other people in the newsroom, and I hadn't seen much speculation here, but apparently there's talk that Kenny Dillingham could take the job. I don't think he will. I doubt he'd be interested. I don't know that they'd be interested in him. There are others who are terrified that he's got his bags packed. Yeah. If I were him, I don't think I would want this job much right now. He's talked at length about how much he loves it at ASU, where he is an alum, and that's the job he wants. Mm-hmm. And I believe that, but at the same time, Michigan is, if it's not a top 5 job in college football,
it's 6.
It's close to it.
Yeah. And he wouldn't be the first coach to say, I'm happy here,
right,
and then leave.
Right.
I mean, the amount of money, if they really do want him, the amount of money they could throw at him would be absolutely incredible.
They'll throw more money at him than ASU will.
And
absolutely.
ASU will have more money to go get players than he will have. If Dillingham, in his heart of hearts, is really being honest about what he wants and whether he's happy being here, then no problem.
Yeah.
But if he has any thoughts about, I want to win a national championship, I want to climb the ladder, it ain't going to get any better than this right now.
Yeah. And I tend to believe him when he says that about ASU, but you're right. I mean,
I do too.
If they throw a massive amount of money at you and say, look, man, you can be fighting for a national title here, and realistically, that's probably not happening at ASU. They were in the playoff last year. It was a little fluky. Yeah, it's not impossible to win one at ASU. It's quite a bit more possible at Michigan while having better facilities, better money, a better reputation that helps with recruiting, all of that. Having said that, I'd be surprised if he took it. And I don't know that Michigan would necessarily be that interested in Kenny Dillingham. He's been a head coach for 3-4 years now.
He turned around a program that was a dumpster fire.
Yes.
He would be walking into another dumpster fire.
He would. a much more high-profile and more sordid dumpster fire.
Yes.
I assume people know what we're talking about here, but the head coach at the University of Michigan was just fired, and according to reports, it is after he's married with three young
kids.
daughters.
Had an affair with a staffer.
Had an affair with a staffer, showed up at her place with a knife threatening to kill himself.
And her. I think.
And I believe it threatened his wife before that, before police caught up to him. He is now the former head coach of the University of Michigan.
But all that happened apparently after he had been informed that he was fired for having the inappropriate relationship with the young woman.
Yes. And apparently everyone in Ann Arbor knew this was going on. It's not. It was not a surprise to anyone when the administration, it would seem, had to know something was going on and wasn't doing anything, and finally did it, and it came to this ugly end. That is the department that Dillingham would be stepping into, and not only that, but Sharon Moore, the coach
of Michigan,
who was just fired, still had another suspension game to fulfill. He was going to miss a game next year because of their cheating scandal. So he's there after Jim Harbaugh left with that cheating scandal.
And think about all the people that were involved in that cheating scandal.
Yeah.
That was under Harbaugh, the previous coach to Moore.
But Sharon Moore was also in trouble for deleting a massive amount of texts related to that scandal.
Yeah, because the guy they were spying on or videotaping illegally, videotaping. Or I don't know if illegally, but breaking the rules.
Well, they were breaking the NCAA rules, or at least the Big Ten rules.
Of videotaping. And, man, as far as a villain's name in this story, does it get any better than Connor Stallions?
It really doesn't. No,
because it was Connor Stallions was the man who was doing this.
Yeah.
And
bad romance novel name.
Yeah. And, they were talking about, Michigan was talking about other potential coaches, and one of them was Jesse Minter, I think, or whatever. He coaches for the Chargers right now in the NFL, but even he faces a show cause thing with the NCAA.
6 months of a show cause left for his problems, and I don't know what his problems were. But
so the last thing Michigan may want is a Michigan man, which I think is why Kenny Dillingham could be somebody who's very, very attractive to this. They may want very much. And again, I agree with you. I believe him. I take him at his word that he wants to be here, that he's happy here. But I don't think it makes him a hypocrite.
Oh, no.
And I'm just, I don't think he becomes a hypocrite or a liar or anything like that. If Michigan backs up the Brinks truck, as they used to say, and just offers him a ton of money and say, look, they've got a great quarterback there that they can convince to stay. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I don't think that makes him a hypocrite or a liar if he takes the job, because this is a big deal job. He's, Kenny Dillingham is at ASU. He grew up an ASU fan. It may be a dream job, and you may have gotten your dream job, but maybe you realize in a situation like this that, maybe I got a new dream now.
Yeah, I would have no issue with him whatsoever if he took the job.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't either.
I get it. My thoughts are, I don't know that that's a program I want to wade into right now.
Money fixes a lot of problems.
It does, but that's a real mess right now. And I mean,
there's so much money.
Maybe I'm overstating it, but that's, maybe wait until they go 2 years without a major scandal. That would be a thought. And the second is, I mean, we're here in the Valley. We're very ASU focused. I don't know that Kenny Dillingham is as attractive a candidate as everyone thinks he is. He's done a good job at ASU. Yes, the program, Herm Edwards and Ray Anderson left the program in a terrible, terrible state, and it's in a much better place now. It's also in the Big 12, where it's a little easier to look impressive. You're not facing the competition you faced in the Pac-12.
But for a coach, if you're really competitive, get those competitive juices firing, like, the Big Ten, man, is the conference in college football.
Yeah. I also question a little bit if he's just generally fully ready for it. He's a young guy.
Oh, yeah.
He still occasionally does some kind of dumb stuff.
Sure.
And it may not be a bad idea to get some of that shit out of his system in Tempe and not do it in Ann Arbor with the nation watching. And to be clear, I really like Kenny Dillingham. He was the offensive coordinator at Oregon. I hated to lose him, was really happy to see him get the job he got. He is a terrific coach.
And
It
think
just
about
feels like maybe he could use a little more seasoning before he steps up to one of the really big stages.
Yeah, and sometimes though, like you put in that, you rise to the occasion, and I mean, I think you look at Dillingham, you probably know him better. From Oregon, you look at some of the pieces in Michigan, their offense was terrible this year.
Yeah,
and you look at that quarterback back there. You hire him because I'm thinking right now, if I'm a player at Michigan, I am sprinting to the transfer portal as soon as that thing opens.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the timing on that is now.
I believe it's in January. I believe it opens in January.
Okay.
And
this is weird timing for a job opening.
Yeah, and so I would be sprinting toward that. Does a younger coach with a lot of energy and a high-octane offense, does that keep some of these players there? Or Kevin DeVore is the guy from Alabama. They're thinking
Kalen DeBoer, yeah.
Kalen DeBoer. Does he move the needle for those kids? I don't know.
He might. I don't see any way Kalen DeBoer takes that job.
Yeah.
The Alabama job that he has, it's not a. There's a lot that's wrong with that job.
Yeah.
I mean, Alabama is probably the biggest program in the country, so it is the marquee job in college football. But those people are crazy.
Yeah.
And before everyone says, "Well, Michigan's crazy," yes, Michigan's crazy. They're not Alabama crazy. Alabama is off the charts crazy. Yeah. Alabama fired a coach the year he won SEC Coach of the Year. Yeah. Alabama is nuts. You will be miserable the entire time you're there. You'd better be Nick Saban. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not Nick Saban, people are going to be calling for your head every week. Yeah. So Alabama is not necessarily a great job for someone who wants to maintain his sanity. But if you're going to bail from that, man, don't go to Michigan, which is maybe like third on the scale of unreasonable.
Oh, I would think they're unreasonable. I don't know. Like you said, they're not crazy like Alabama.
To me, it's Alabama and Ohio State at the very top.
Oh, God.
And then after that, SEC fans are unreasonable. So there are any number of schools that could fit there. Mm-hmm. But Michigan's right up there.
Oh yeah. Oh no, with the expectations, yeah. But I'm just saying, like crazy,
yes.
I mean,
the other problem Michigan's facing now is, I think the fan base is still used to the Big Ten being a toss-up between Ohio State and Michigan every year, mm-hmm. and with Indiana suddenly becoming very good, I don't know how long that's going to last.
In Oregon,
Oregon has joined, USC has joined. If USC gets its act together, they should be fighting for the championship every year. The Big Ten just got a lot harder to win.
In Michigan, I mean, had this happened a week earlier, the perfect coach for Michigan just became the coach of Penn State, Matt Campbell.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been a done deal.
Yeah. I will still hold out that I have my perfect candidate for the Michigan job.
Yes,
whose name hasn't really come up.
You do, and I'm all in.
John Harbaugh, the current coach of the Baltimore Ravens and the brother of the last guy to win big at Michigan.
I'm all in
Jim
for that.
Harbaugh.
I am so in for that. As I sent you a text message, hire him and an army of psychotherapists.
Yeah.
And let's go.
The Harbaugh is a little strange. A lot of sibling rivalry there.
You think?
I think John would be happy to come in and see if he can do better than his brother did. If it were flipped, I have no question Jim would do it. Jim's nuts. I don't think John's the sane one.
I think
but still.
I think given what we've seen is Michigan is out of the Harbaugh business.
Maybe.
They don't want anything to do with that. And that's why I said earlier, I think maybe they may avoid anybody with Michigan ties this time, or with a Michigan. We don't want a Michigan man because a Michigan man. Your past couple of coaches have gotten you in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah,
we're both Michigan men.
Yeah,
so maybe avoid that this time.
Yeah,
but but getting back to Dillingham really quick, I think if he has any inkling to go, he goes now.
I mean, you can't assume it's going to come up again. If they generally are interested and they make him an offer, he's probably not in a position. I mean, I said I thought he would probably be better served by staying a few years and getting a little more seasoning and all that. But the reality is he can't assume he's getting this offer again.
No.
It is one of the top jobs in college football. And if that's something that interests him, ASU was in the playoff last year. They did a respectable job this year. They didn't make it back, but it was a good team facing some level of adversity. They've done well. You can't assume that's going to happen over and over, and the top jobs are going to come knocking every year.
Yeah.
So if they offer it to him, he may very well take it. Yeah. I remain skeptical they'll offer it to him. But. All right.
How we doing on time, man?
We're good.
All right. Let's talk about the Suns real quick.
One other thing real quick. The TV show, if anyone's wondering where the TV show is, it's getting preempted by the Suns on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, nice.
On Channel 3. So unless you got up at 5:30 in the morning to watch Politics Unplugged on Channel 5.
Which, why wouldn't you?
God bless you if you did. Check streaming. It should be on all our streaming stuff. Should be on the web.
We're big into streaming here at the family.
Yeah. Quick on the Suns.
Quick.
They lost by 49 to the Thunder.
That's not good.
It's not good, but I'll tell you what. That's
so
one of those where you watch.
We're not going to the NBA Finals this year.
Well, you watch the Thunder, and it's like, yeah. Like, I've been way more demoralized by close Suns losses than I was by this one. The Thunder are insane.
Yeah.
The Thunder are...
you may be watching one of the best teams ever put together.
Yes.
In
And
NBA
by the
history.
end of this year, I think they'll probably have the best record in NBA history. I think if they are interested in getting that record...
They'll get it.
They'll get it.
They are... This is the most... This might be the most drama-free year of NBA basketball I've ever seen. I just think it's a coronation again.
The only team I see that could compete with them in a 7-game series is the Denver Nuggets, and
only because of
doubt they
Jokic.
will. Yeah. But my favorite stat on this: the Thunder has one loss so far. I believe they're 24-1 right now. That one loss was coming off of back-to-back. So they played the night before, and they were up 22 points in the game before running out of gas and losing by 2 to the Portland Trail Blazers.
Yeah.
So.
And if you're into NBA basketball, you enjoy basketball, and you haven't seen much of the Thunder, I would highly recommend watching that team.
They're really good.
They're really, really, really good.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Any plans for the weekend?
No, I'm going to rest. It's been a week.
Good for you.
Finish up some shopping, and I think I'm good. You?
Probably about the same. Hang out with my dog.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey.
You have a great weekend, man.
You too. See you next week.
Thanks for listening. You can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, the Google Store, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. See you next time.